the same. So it is very honorable for me that I can be here with you and give you a lecture regarding lasers for surface modification of dental implants. I come from the Faculty of Dentistry. My name is Kinga Turzó, and I will introduce myself a little bit later on, because really I would like to show you how it is happening that a biophysicist is dealing with laser modification of dental implants. Yes, so it's good if you will see. Now, first of all, because I'm a teacher, yes, I like to show the overview or the main topics of my lectures. So I divided it in three parts. First of all, I will introduce the Faculty of Dentistry, our research program, and I will give you a little overview about the biomedical sciences which are related very much with dental implants. And then also we will go through the main characteristics, the surface aspects of biomaterials, and we will define the biorecognition. Have you heard about dental implants? Biorecognition? Something not too much. Okay, so you will see how it is interpreted. Then we will focus on very important surface modifications which are enhancing biointegration or integration. We have several types of surface modifications, but now on this lecture we will deal with the physical chemical surface modifications, and especially we will focus on the laser ablation of titanium surfaces, as this is your interest, the lasers. Yes? Hi, good morning. Then I will present our results, what we were doing, let's say, in the last 14 years. Yes, I will give you an overview, and I will be with the support of our articles which are already available, so you can I can send it to you or you can read them. So first of all, we should start with the introduction. Well, I would say that I have a typical, let's say, career in specifically in Hungary. So I was gaining my diploma in physics in 1989 in Bucharest. And what was special in that university that in the last year we were learning a lot of biophysics and biochemistry. Maybe you know or you have heard about the history, let's say, of biophysics, that in the late 70s and early 80s it was a boom in the biophysics, because they have realized that the methods which are used in physics are available and are very well applicable in biology, in biological systems. So for example, X-ray diffraction and determining the structure of very small proteins and so on. So they started to deal with that, and of course it was very interesting for me. And then I have come to Szeged in 91. I applied for an assistant professorship at the former, let's say, Faculty of Science at the Department of Biophysics, and I have done my PhD in a very basic topic related to fluorescence of bacterial reaction center. My supervisor was Professor Peter Maruti. Maybe you have met already him. Yes, you were making some practices or lecture with him. And then it happened that usually after you have your PhD, it is good if you are moving abroad and you are doing your postdoc or you are making, let's say, cooperation with other kind of institutions, and therefore I have gained an Alfred Kessler grant at University Louis Pasteur, where a group of periodontologists were working with physicists and biologists, and then I started to deal with the research in dental implantology. I will show you a few, let's say, slides about that. They were investigating how the polypeptide layers of dental implants will modify the integration, and I have to tell you that it was love at first sight, as I would say it like that. And then at that time, in those months, I was working with a prosthodontician who was working at the Faculty of Dentistry, and then the boss, who was Professor she was giving me a research fellow position at the Department of Dentistry and Oral Surgery, and there I started to work. Why it is important for a Faculty of Dentistry, which was at that time, it was not even a Faculty of Dentistry, it was the Department of Dentistry and Oral Surgery, to deal with research, because as you may assume, usually the dental practitioners are more focusing in dental practice, and they are not so much focusing on research. Although I have to tell you that dental materials are very important they are the emerging force for making better materials and better technology. So therefore, Professor she asked me that I should get involved in the teaching and developing of some special subjects for dental course, in helping him to make PhD for the young doctors. Why it is important? Because the faculty of dentistry can be a faculty only just if you have the PhD, which it says that you are good in that special field. So therefore I started to work on that. I was teaching of dental materials, physics for dental students. I am still teaching with Professor Turzó, dental biometry and evaluation, biomaterials and biocompatibility. For this last topic I am very proud because I was establishing by myself biomaterials and biocompatibility. I hope that around the middle of the lecture you will understand how the dental implants are integrating in the biomaterials and biocompatibility topic. And then we established in 2004 the Graduate School of Clinical Sciences, the Research in Dental Medicine program, which was very important because without this program we could not have a faculty of dentistry. I think that you understand the hierarchy, that the department is smaller than a faculty, yes? So it was very important for having this research in dental medicine. And since then I'm supervisor of the biointegration of alloplastic materials research topic, and I have 9 PhD students, and from them 5 already defended their PhD, and for what I'm very proud that they are working at the dental faculty, which is very good. So here you can see my scientific parameters. I was doing my habilitation in 2014 at the School of Clinical Sciences. So this is very interesting when you have a physicist who is doing the habilitation in clinical sciences, and I have to tell you I'm very proud for that in regard of the University of Szeged, because they are open for having physicists or biologists integrated in a clinical science. So if you prove that your work is important for clinical sciences, then you are very well evaluated and you are welcome there. And in 2014 I had to accept the deanship of the Faculty of Dentistry because unfortunately we do not have too many professors at the faculty, so I am dealing a lot with administration and management and so on now at this time. Okay, so a little bit of history of the Faculty of Dentistry. So we have a very long, we are the second, let's say, school of dental education in Hungary. The first was in Budapest, of course, and then in 1949, the instruction started. These are based on relevant data. The WHO has a proof of that. And then in 2007, we established from the department to have a Faculty of Dentistry. At that time, we had 5 departments and 46 academic staff and around 180 dental students. As you can see, with these later, this really increased more. We doubled in 2015, and we established also new department, so-called Department of Oral Biology and Experimental Dental Research, from where I come, and also we have the microbiologists working with us, physicists and so on. So this is giving really the connection of the clinical dental sciences to the basic sciences and applied sciences, yes? And there we have 2 professors and so on. What is hard to work at the Faculty of Dentistry, that those doctors who are working there, they have to deal with 2 topics. First of all, the patient care is very important. Every day you are dealing with that. Every teacher or that's faculty member who is not like me, just a physicist, has to take care of the patient or take care of the patient care. Then they have to educate and also to do research. So as you can see, this is a 3-task job, and therefore it's very hard, and unfortunately it's very sad that they are not paid at all well, which is typical, by the way, everywhere in the world, that who is working in the education is not paid well. So this is a big problem because we do not have, many good students are leaving us and they are going to the private practice. This is a problem. Now what I show you here on this slide is that this is a former laboratory of the Faculty of Dentistry. It is integrated in the Department of Oral Biology and Experimental Dental Research, and we are very proud to have these instrumentation, spectrophotometer, PCR, then you can see an Nikon microscope and an atomic force microscope, which we are sharing with the physics department. This is important also that I want to tell you that when I got there in 2001, in 2002, we had only just a broken pH meter, so we started to work with the project. So of course everything is relative. When you start from 0, then you are very happy which is giving you the chemical composition of every kind of dental surface, or X-ray diffraction, which is giving the crystalline structure, can be used for the dental implants, and this is very good. But we started to establish, and already we have it, the in vitro cell culture laboratory, which is working very nicely. We are working with human oral epithelial or fibroblast cells, and also I have omitted there, but we have the MG63 osteosarcoma cell line, which is very important because we can, let's say, test the biological response of the dental implants without making animal studies. Now, in vivo animal experiments are available also together with we can do them with the Faculty of Dentistry. And if you are checking on the website, or you will see some hints also from definition of the biocompatibility testing. These investigation methods are all the basic or the standard investigation methods of testing the biocompatibility of a material. And you have several of them, so we can say that we are a little bit a small biocompatibility testing facility at the Department of Oral Biology. Now, I'm starting to introduce you what is our expertise or what is our specialty. So the school is called, the research program is called Biointegration of Alloplastic Materials, and if you check on the authors on the PubMed, you will find these, or you can check my name, then you will find our publications. Basically, we had a lot of work working on physical, chemical, and biochemical surface modification of the dental implants, because we want to increase or to enhance the biointegration or osseointegration. Then we had a long also working on the fluoride-containing agents, how they are dealing with the titanium, and also we are applying, in case of periimplantitis, some decontaminating chemical agents, and how they are affecting the surface of titanium. This is very important, and the head of the department is Professor János Mihály, who is a microbiologist, by the way, and he's taking care of the research in dental medicine program. Now, why it is good to work in this kind of research area? Because as you will see, the biointegration of alloplastic materials is a very much evolving kind of research area. And because, as you will see, the lifespan is increasing, but our system or our organs, they cannot take care of this long lifespan. So many times we have to replace some parts of the human body. Here you can see, for example, hip prosthesis and also dental implants. And they are very similar. Why? Because they are usually made from titanium. They have to have a load-bearing capability, and also the surface structure of the metal is very important. So when we deal with dental implants, we can say that even we can say some important characteristics about the hip and joint implants. We start to have, and we try always to have good cooperation with the orthopedic department, because they are also interested in these kind of researches. Now, as I told you, so the longer age, which is very good, and we are very happy for that, but more and more people are having missing or not well functioning organs. Therefore, we need more biomaterials for replacing these missing parts. And if you check out the market of the biomaterials, you can see that it's a very strong increase in that. I will just highlight that in 2007, the market for dental implants and bone grafting reached almost $5 billion. Many books are coming out calling like that, called like bionic human. And why? Because we can say that I think that every second people on the street has, in this respect, a biomaterial. And I am telling you this why? Because, for example, if you have a composite filling or a crown in your oral cavity that is already a biomaterial, which is under your gingiva, so it should be biocompatible. Yes. So, but even going to a stent or even going to a pacemaker, these are all biomaterials which are available. Now, I was gathering you here the most frequent, let's say, biomaterials. They are called also alloplastic materials. So the dental implant is the most frequent, so dentists are very happy for that they can use a lot of them. Then even a medicament which you are swallowing, even a vitamin, if you are swallowing it, you can check it. That has a polymer-based capsule, and that is also biomaterial because it's swallowed, it goes down, and it will dissolve in a proper manner. So from here, you can say that let's say the research regarding the medicaments and development of many drugs is coming, it's very strong in this respect. Or you can deal with artificial skin, then the second most frequent are the artificial joints, hip and knee prostheses, which are available for the aged people, and it is very important. Maybe you have also in your family some grandparents or parents who were falling down, breaking their hip and knee and so on, and without these joints they could not recover themselves. And then we can speak also artificial organs, and what is very special for Hungary that we have big mortality because of the bad circulatory system, a lot of smoking, a lot of not eating properly, not too much work, let's say making sport. So therefore the vascular grafts are saving a lot of life. If I want to show you that how it is evolving or prove you the biomaterials topic in the science, all over the science field, then I will show you the impact factor. You know what is the impact factor of publication. In 2003, it was just around 3 impact factor, and in 2014, it reached 9. I'm sorry that I did not get until now 2015, but I'm sure that it's increasing also above 9. Now, the biomaterials, let's say science, we can call it like that, it is related strongly to the biological surface science. It's abbreviated as BioSS. And it is very interesting that if you check up Ben Cassano, he published in 2002 an article, and he was the first who was saying that integrated in the science, in the big surface science world, we have a biological surface science part, which is very important in the application of these surface science methods in the biological surfaces. And I'm sure that you will see throughout my lecture, you will understand that why is the surface so important, and what they are dealing with biological surface science, those researchers, with the properties and processes and the interfaces between synthetic materials and biological environment. And of course, the driving force for that is that because we need biomaterials and we want to change them, or we want to see whether they are biocompatible or not. Also, another very important part is the biofunctional surfaces which are fabricated, and these are the strongest areas which are driving the whole, let's say, the rapid development of the BioSS. First of all, the medical or dental implants in the human body, then we can speak about biosensors and chips in humans. You have heard about them, I'm sure. So many, so for example, in the United States and in Japan, they're already using a lot of biosensors and biochips for diagnostics, because you can imagine that many old people are staying home alone. Yes, they are not together, and of course you can detect, for example, the blood sugar level, and then it is giving the information to the hospital, and then if there is any problem, they can come. So it's very cost-effective, yes, system, and of course it's very reliable. Then we can speak about tissue engineering. I'm sure that you have seen many examples for that, and this is related, of course, the bioscience of the biochips with bioelectronics, but we can speak also about the artificial photosynthesis of those countries where they need more plants for eating and so on. And also we can speak about biomagnetic materials, which are a little bit used also in dental implants. Now, going to the dental implants, and I have to give you some basic knowledge to understand why we are dealing with the surface. So we can establish that successful biointegration of these implants, not just the dental implants, general, we can say also about the hip and joint prosthesis, are depending from 4 aspects of the materials. And I'm saying 4, you can see bulk and surface characteristics. So in dentistry, usually we are already considering that a dental material, even if it is a dental implant, does not have just the bulk, but it has also the surface, and the surface is more important, as you will see. Yes. So the bulk is, in respect of mechanical properties, is very important, because of course for a dental implant, which has to bear around 300 newtons or 500 newtons, you will not use a polymer which is light. Yes, you will use a metal, or you will use zirconia or something like that. But the bulk is very important. But for changing or checking up the biointegration, you will need more to focus on surface characteristics. Then the construction and design. Well, this is more an engineering problem, and I have to tell you that in the dental implants companies, they have a huge, let's say, researchers who are dealing with the engineering part of the, or the construction part of the dental implants, and well, we are not focusing too much on them. I just am showing you that how many kind of dental implants are available on the market, and this is just a few of them. You can see this is titanium, and this is sandblasted coating. This one has also some chopper mallet. Screw, oh, I forgot it. It's chopper mallet. You're looking for it? Oh,
Winding. The winding.
Winding? Winding, okay, thank you very much. Okay, I'm sorry. Winding, and then here this is an alumina made dental implant, and this is blasted with hydroxyapatite. This is why it is so wide. So we have several, and for the dentist, is the most complicated and the most difficult problem is to choose the good dental implant, which is integrated in the maxilla or the mandible of the patient. Then we have to speak about the biocompatibility, which is a special feature of every implant. And then, of course, the applied surgical technique is also important, because if the surgeon or the dental surgeon is not well trained, then he will make a big mess there. So it is not good. And also, I have to tell you this is shown in the list, but it's not the last. The general health condition and life quality of the patient is also very important, because if the patient doesn't realize that the dental implant, which is replacing his tooth, is not taking care of that, is not cleaning well, then he will lose or she will lose very quickly the dental implant. Now a little mathematics, because I want that you should understand well these factors that we know from statistics that you have the probability of failure. Yes, if it's 0, then we are happy that you don't have any probability of failure. If it's 1 or 100%, then you have a high probability of failure, which is not good. The reliability of a biomaterial, of course, is the 1 minus the failure, probability of failure. And in mathematics and in statistics is coming this very important equation that the total reliability of a dental implant, it comes from the reliability of the several factors. If you have here 6 factors or 7 factors, then you will have a multiplication. So let's imagine that you are doing you are choosing a very good material, the bulk and surface characteristics is fantastic, the construction is good, the biocompatibility is good, but let's say that the applied surgical technique is not good. What will happen? 1R from one of these, it will go down to 0. Yes? And what is happening with the multiplication? Everything will go down to 0. So therefore, when many students are asking me that, please teacher, tell me which is the most important factor, I can tell them that it's not a good question. So all factors are very important, and in the construction, in the design of the dental implants, it has to be considered these kind of aspects. Now, what is the biointegration? I give you some just general definitions to understand that you should understand what are the main aspects. So, and this is a definition which is valid now, today. But as you will see, I don't know if I was showing you, yes, no, it's not history. In the history, I omitted this slide. So we can see an involvement in the definitions also of the biointegration. Since we are knowing better what is this biointegration, since then we are more and more closer to understand what is doing Mother Nature, let's say like that. So the alloplastic material has to function in contact with the surrounding tissues for any period of time, for a long period of time. Yes, we are not putting the dental implant just for 1 year. Yes, and then it should come out, and does not have any adverse or damaging effect on the body as a whole. It's very important. So you have to have a good contact with the surrounding tissue for a long time and the body as a whole. So you cannot have any toxic effect, any cancerous, any allergic effect, and so on. Now, the biocompatibility is a little bit similar, but it's different. I have taken this from Bronzino's book, which is very interesting if someone is interested. So the acceptance of an artificial implant by the surrounding tissues and by the body as a whole. Acceptance. This is the first definition where the acceptance of the artificial implant is given. And you will understand, because I'm sure that you know some biology, of course, that usually typical response when you are if you are putting any material under your skin, you will have a foreign body reaction. Yes? Why? Because your system is starting to say that, oh, something happened there, you have an injury and so on, and then it will be kicked out, that material. So that is the typical. But to have some materials which are good in and they are biointegrated, this is something special. And if I did not prepare a history of dental of biomaterials, but you can read it also. It's a nice history. For example, in the Second World War, 40s and so on, some soldiers which were shooting down from the bombardiers, these canopies of the bombardiers were made from PMMA, polymethyl methacrylate. And I don't know how, when the bombardier was shooting down, soldiers survived, but they had under their skin some particles of PMMA. And they could see there, the doctors, that it was no allergic or any toxic effect. And since then we know that these polymers are biointegrated and they are biocompatible. So many times this kind of, well, at least we had something good also from the Second World War. Okay, the biocompatibility is very important to understand that it is a dynamic and always changing phenomenon. So this is very important for the clinicians because when they put a dental implant in the oral cavity of a patient, then maybe for 5 years it will not happen anything wrong, it will be very good. But if in the patient the patient starts to have any disease or something like that, maybe the first let's say sign of having some disease, it is shown nearby the dental implant. So this is a very important let's say application, because if it started to be an inflammation there and so on, you can check up the health status of the patient and you can see what is happening there, and maybe you can get a very early hint to that disease what is starting up. So we can even say that there are no totally bio-inert materials in the world, although we say that the titanium is bio-inert, you will see it very quickly. I'm sure, sorry for I just scanned it out, but if somebody is interested, you should check out the biocompatibility tests on the website. These are the so-called standardized ISO 10993, and they are available for everybody. What they are saying that, so we don't have just a definition of the biocompatibilities, but we have also very important tests. Nowadays in the world, we are saying that we have 3 kinds of devices of biomaterials, and we are dividing them in timing. So, for example, the catheters, which are used, I'm sure, I don't know if you had some surgery or something like that, but the catheters which are used for, let's say, 2 days or a few hours, those are also biomaterials, because they should not give you any toxic or allergic effect. And these are the so-called surface contacting devices, as you can see. These are the less than 24 hours under your skin or in the body. Then you have those materials which are more, from 24 hours to 30 days or 1 month. And then you have, for example, the dental implants or hip prostheses, which are in the body, human body, more than 30 days, hopefully. Yes, you are planning for more than 30 days. And as you can see a little bit here, of course, for those implants who are more than 30 days in, you will have many, many tests to go on. In the United States and also in Western Europe, they have a lot of companies which are just dealing with biocompatibility testing. And it would be my dream once that we should have at the Faculty of Dentistry, but hopefully we will reach that sometimes. Now, just a little bit to connect dental dentistry, basic dentistry with dental implants, that, and I'm telling this many times for the students, that they should not forget that dentistry is very much connected with research. Because if you imagine, and you can see here a cadaver, this is a maxilla of a Mayan lady. She was at around 25 years old. And she had these 3 shells. These are made from seashell, yes? and it was replaced. And I have to tell you that we could check up that these were osseointegrated. Now, what do you think that the Mayans realized that why they were using seashell? What is the common in a seashell and a dental and in a tooth? Calcium phosphate. Of course, they did not have any available methods, surface science methods, so on, to check out the content and so on. They could see that it is white and it is hard, yes, and there they were using it. And of course, we can say that we have an involvement because under this, let's say, nice masticatory, let's say, organs, but you can see here everywhere almost one dental implant. So we are at this stage. Some of the, let's say, professors of dentistry, they say, well, this is not too much, but we can say that, of course, we evolved very much. Now, what we have to establish that the oral cavity in our biological system, in the human body, is the most aggressive environment. And it's very simple to understand, because we take the food in that way. We have a very big change in the pH. If you drink cola, if you drink tea, and so on, then you have abrasion around 200 to 800 newtons is what you are masticating, depending from gender and age. And then you can have also a huge interval of the temperature. You can even have 2 degrees to 55 and so on. And several bacteria, milliards of bacteria are in the oral cavity, and therefore what we can say that if really in dentistry for centuries they were starting and trying to develop those materials which can support this aggressive environment. Now, I am showing you this figure because I like it very much because it gives you a hint that what is, so I'm sure that, well, you are very young, but later on when you will be researchers and so on, you will understand that regarding, and if you will deal with biomaterials, we are just mimicking Mother Nature. So we are not doing anything new, and this is, I think, many times true for other fields also. And this is why I feel and I think that biophysics and the surface science methods and the interfaces, to know them, is very important. And I will just explain you what are those differences which are very important, and where you can see these differences. These are the research areas where we can evolve more, or where we can work more. So when you have a tooth, a natural tooth, then I will start from here. It is integrated in the bone, which is the same where you have a dental implant, but here, in case of dental implant, you have a direct contact, and here you have a periodontal ligament. The periodontal ligament, it is very important from physiological point of view, and also because it is, megint kérni fogok egy segítséget, again, olyan, mint egy lengéscsillapító.
Damping system in the car.
Damping system in the car. Okay. Yes, thank you very much. Damping, I always forget that. So, and this is felt also from the patient. When they get a dental implant instead of their normal tooth, they will say that when I masticate, I feel more that the force is coming on my bone. Yes, and why? Because we don't have the periodontal ligament, and this is a problem. I had seen, I think, 3 years ago, a Chinese group was doing in a rat model. They were making some periodontal ligament, but they could not reproduce further. So it is very difficult. And then the other problem with which we are focusing more in our research is the gingival tissue. In the gingival tissue, you have fibers. These are collagen fibers, which are generally and usually, in the case of natural tooth, perpendicular to the tooth surface, as you can see here. And in case of dental implant, we do not have yet a dental implant which will give you a very good soft tissue attachment. And therefore, what is happening? So these fibers, in case of dental implants, are like that parallel coming, yes? And therefore, very quickly, if the patient does not take care, the implant abutment, which is gray usually because it's a titanium, will be visible because the soft tissue will go down. But one thing is that the biggest problem is that this gingival tissue functions like a barrier against the bacteria. So it's going down, then the bacteria will attack more. So if you have less collagen fibers here attached well, and they will slowly attack the gingival tissue. This is a so-called paniculosities, so you will have an inflammation. And then if it's going further and the patient does not take care, then it will attack the bone, and then you will have a very severe bone loss, which is called the periimplantitis. This is the occurrence of the periimplantitis. I will show you later on some data. It is very often coming out in case of dental patients who are treated with dental implants, and these are the problems. So this is where, of course, the research is focusing to make better, let's say, dental implants in this respect. But as I told you, we did not find anything new. We are still understanding Mother Nature and mimicking that one. Now, if we go down to the dental implants, then we can speak about three parts. So I always tell to my dental students that you should not forget that the dental implant is not just a screw, it is a small apparatus. Why? Because it has different parts. So when you put in the bone, in the maxilla or in the mandible, then of course you have to have a good osseointegration, encouraging the host bone, and we know already that what kind of surface roughness should be reached, that the osteoblast should attach that part. Then you have the gingival attachment or periimplant mucosal seal, which I told you that still it is in research what kind of surface will make you a good attachment of the gingiva. And then this is the part of the prosthodontition or prosthodontition that you have to make a good crown on the dental implant, appropriate transmission of masticatory force, low transfer capacity, because otherwise if the patient will not masticate in a good direction with the anterior tooth, then it will break down the dental implant. But this is a mechanical issue, so I will not go too much in it. We are interested more in these two parts. Now, therefore, if we are magnifying the dental implants surfaces, then we can distinguish between three parts. The A part is not so interesting for us because usually it is covered by a crown, a nice crown made from ceramic or something like that. And then we have the B part, which is usually oblique, or it can have even a kind of platform switching to enhance the attachment of the gingiva. This is usually machined and is not so rough, like the last one, which is in the bone. The rough surface should be around 500 nanometer to 1,500 nanometers range, or even more. And it can measure with profilometer, as we know well. It is evolving also, but this is around the average of the roughness, which is lined by the osteoblast. Now, I am showing you just very, very small parts of the types of the dental implants. I even did not show you which companies. You can see that we have many screws and so on. Then you can have a little bit shiny, which is not covered, sandblasted. Then, as I told you, this is alumina, and these are the blade type of dental implants which are not anymore used because they are damaging very much the bone. Yes, so if you can imagine that the mastication is going, that if this is working and moving in the bone, in the maxilla, the mandible, it will damage very much the bone. So you can forget this one. Now, a few words about the titanium. When I came to the Faculty of Dentistry, then we have found out that at the Faculty of Science and Informatics, in the chemistry department, the colloid chemistry department, many good professors were dealing with titanium, with the colloidal part of the titanium, and we still have good cooperation with this kind of group. And so I was very happy to see that I am coming in a safe place, that we know something about titanium. What we can say that it is a very, very special metal. It is just the tantalum is similar to that, but the tantalum is very heavy. So it is generally, we can say, between the metals is a light material. It has a low density, but almost as strong as steel and 45% lighter. It has a relatively low heat conductivity. It is, well, relatively, we can say that easy to fabricate. Now we can say it can make you a good radiographic image, so you can see it. It's very important for the dentist to see it. And I highlighted two aspects which I will go on a little bit in details. It has an exceptional corrosion resistance and it has a high degree of biocompatibility. So therefore, we are not just using in dentistry, but also in oral and maxillofacial surgery, and also, as I told you, in orthopedics. They are making from titanium the artificial hip joints. Now, this part is really biophysics, and although I'm sure that you remember what is the heat of reaction, or what it means this one, the delta H, this is the change of the enthalpy. So when you see this kind of very big negative value of the change of the enthalpy, it means that you have a very high heat of reaction, which in respect of the metal titanium tells us that in 1 second on the metal titanium always you will have a titanium dioxide layer, a very fixed, a native, so-called, it can be also measured between 20 and 100 angstrom width of titanium dioxide layer. So we can say that if you have the titanium here, you will never see the bare metal titanium. You will never feel it. It is always covered with the titanium oxide layer because we are in air, of course. If you work in vacuum, then that's another thing, but it's like that. This titanium dioxide layer will let's say, protect the bulk of the dental implant from heavy impurities and also to other kind of oxygen contamination, carbon contaminations. Now, this is the finding of Professor Dynamite, who is the, let's say, the father of, maybe I'm showing you the slide, who was an orthopedic surgeon, and finding, you can check out on the website of the story. It's very interesting how he found out about the biocompatibility of titanium, and they were doing some research with the Russian researchers and determining that the dielectric constant of titanium dioxide, which is always in connection with the tissue fluid and with the bone, it is a very huge value. It's one of the largest values, 50 to 170. And for example, for alumina you have, which means what? It means, translating in biophysics and also in biointegration, that these surfaces, titanium dioxide surface, is capable of making van der Waals secondary bonding with the molecules which are coming there. Yeah? So it is very important, and this finding, it was found in around late 50s and is still valid and is still checked. What you can see here, that just for you that you should imagine how it is happening, when the clinicians are putting a titanium implant in the bone, so they are making a hole in the bone, yes, and you will not have a direct contact between the old bone, but first of all you will have the tissue fluid, so you have there a small gap, yes, where it's planted with blood and tissue fluid and so on. I will show you what is happening there, and this is not in contact with the metal titanium, it is always in contact with the titanium oxide. And we know now that without having the titanium dioxide layer, you will not have biointegration. So titanium oxide dioxide layer is the most important aspect